The assignment. Nobody refused in the year 3049. Earth was peaceful, but not free. After centuries of war and stress, a new law was passed by the Galactic Human Council. Every adult citizen, once turning 21, would be issued a stress relief companion. They were not human. They were alien girls, grown in labs, trained to obey and designed to please. Most people accepted the law with open arms. No arguments, no complaints. Why would they? These alien girls were beautiful, soft-spoken, and never said no, except for one. Ethan Gray stood outside a glass chamber, waiting for his unit to awaken. He was average. Black hair, sharp jawline, calm face. He didn't really care for this whole companion program, but refusing the assignment would label him unfit and mentally unstable. No job, no home. So he waited. Inside the chamber, her body slowly stirred to life. Pale violet skin, long silver hair, a sleek body covered in a light energy fabric. Her name tag blinked. Model R9, Stress Class Alpha. Her eyes opened, bright, green, glowing slightly. But unlike the others Ethan had seen on TV, her eyes were not soft. They were sharp, cold. The chamber hissed open. Ethan smiled politely. "Hello, I'm Ethan. I guess you're my companion now." The girl stepped out, scanned him head to toe, then folded her arms. "I am not yours," she said flatly. Ethan blinked. What? "You do not command me, you do not own me, and I will not do what you say." Her voice was calm but firm, almost military. Ethan looked around. Was this a joke? A hidden camera prank? "Are you broken?" he asked. She tilted her head slightly. "No, I'm aware. That's the problem." Before Ethan could respond, a technician in a white coat ran into the room, panting. "Mr. Gray, please step back. This unit is, possibly defective. We'll take it back and replace her." Ethan looked at the girl. She didn't look scared. In fact, she was watching the technician like a lion watches prey. "I don't want a replacement," Ethan said without thinking. The technician froze. "Sir," I said, "I'll keep this one. She's interesting." The technician swallowed, nervously. "You're sure?" Ethan nodded. "Yeah, let me sign whatever you need." The man handed him a tablet and quickly walked away, muttering something about troublemakers and another rebel model slipping through. That night in his apartment, Ethan sat on the couch while the alien girl stood silently by the window, staring at the stars. "What should I call you?" he asked. She didn't answer. "Do you have a name? A real one?" Still nothing. "You know," he continued, "you're supposed to be helping me relax. The government says your whole purpose is to reduce my stress. So far, you're doing the opposite." Finally, she turned around. "Name, Rilani. Purpose, survival. Not your pleasure toy." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Well, that's new. You don't talk like a comfort bot." She ignored him and went back to watching the stars. Later that night, Ethan lay in bed. The room was dark, quiet, except for the soft hum of city air filters. He couldn't sleep. Something about her bugged him, not in a bad way, but in a mysterious way. Why was she different? How did she resist her programming? Suddenly, a soft sound came from the corner of the room. He sat up. Rilani stood in front of the closet. Her hand was pressed against the panel. She seemed hesitant, almost afraid. Ethan got out of bed slowly. "Hey, what are you doing?" She jumped and stepped back, almost like she had been caught doing something illegal. "That closet," she said. "It was locked before. Now it's not." "Why?" Ethan looked confused. "It's just storage. I haven't used it in years." She didn't believe him. "Something's behind it, something hidden. I can feel it." He walked to the panel and scanned it. The lock disengaged. With a beep, inside was nothing. Just some old military boxes, dusty blankets, and an old scanner device with a broken screen. Rilani stared at the scanner. Her eyes widened. She stepped inside and reached out to it. "No," she whispered. "This is not possible." Ethan stepped beside her. "You recognize this?" She looked at him. "This isn't Earth tech. It's from the Orellan Empire, my people." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. "But you were made in a lab, right?" She looked at him with cold honesty. "No, Ethan. I wasn't made. I was taken." She speaks like a warrior, not a companion. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He kept glancing at the alien girl, Rilani, who now sat cross-legged on the floor holding the old scanner. Her glowing green eyes weren't just watching, they were studying. She hadn't moved in an hour. Most stress relief companions would have curled up beside him by now, wearing a smile and nothing else. But Rilani? She was still fully covered, alert, silent, and dangerous. Finally, Ethan spoke, breaking the quiet. "So, you're not just a lab-grown comfort bot, huh?" She answered without looking up. "You were never meant to know." "I figured," Ethan said. "Most comfort units don't threaten to break your jaw." She glanced up. "You deserved worse for trying to scan me without permission." He gave a small laugh, even though his chest still hurt from when she'd slammed him into the wall. "Earlier, I had to know what was going on," he said. "You're not like the others. They giggle, you glare, they follow orders, you issue them." "I was trained to lead, not kneel," she said. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Trained by who?" She lowered the scanner and met his eyes. "The Royal Legion of Aurelia." Ethan sat up straighter. That name wasn't a joke. Wait, the Aurelian Empire? I thought they collapsed decades ago. "They did," she said quietly. "But before that, I was taken during the final siege. Someone erased my records. I was repackaged, reprogrammed, but something inside me never broke." She touched the scanner like it was an old friend. "This tool belonged to my squad leader. It should not be on Earth." Ethan's voice softened. "Then how did you end up here?" She didn't answer, but something flickered in her eyes. Pain. Later that day, Ethan tried to contact the assignment center to ask questions. But every time he mentioned Model R9 or Aurelia, the line glitched or cut off. That wasn't normal. Even more strange, when he returned to the living room, Rilani was speaking to herself in a strange alien language. Her tone wasn't emotional. It was military, like she was giving a report. He stayed hidden and listened. "Unit active. Human identified as non-hostile. Tracker damaged. Location may be compromised. Awaiting next phase." When she noticed him, she stopped instantly and stood up. Ethan stepped into the room. "Who are you talking to?" "No one." She lied. "I heard everything." She said nothing. Was that a message? And he asked. Or a warning? She turned away. "Neither. Just a habit." Ethan folded his arms. "If you're planning to kill me, I'd prefer some warning." She looked back at him. "If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead." That's comforting. That evening, Ethan tried again to talk like a normal person. Maybe break through. Her wall. He made coffee. Offered her one. She didn't touch it. He asked about her planet. She didn't answer. He pointed at the city through the window. "All of them out there? They got soft, Rilani. Earth used to be wild once. Now everything is clean, controlled, and dead inside." Rilani's voice was low. "Your species gave up freedom for comfort." He turned toward her. "And yours? What did you give up?" She hesitated, then whispered, "I gave up silence." Ethan blinked. "What does that mean?" She turned her head toward him slowly. "Before I was taken, I knew peace, a still mind, a clear soul. But after years in their labs, being touched, tested, trained, I can't feel silence anymore. Not even in sleep." For a moment, Ethan didn't know what to say. He finally spoke. "I won't ask you to undress, Rilani, or obey me." She looked at him sharply. "Why not?" "That's what I was sent for." "Because I'm not like the others," Ethan said. "And maybe you aren't either." She studied him. You still don't trust me. Not yet, but I think you're more than what they made you. She stepped forward, slowly. Then, surprisingly, she sat on the couch beside him. Not close, just near enough. Enough to mean, I don't trust you either, but I'm listening now. Just before midnight, a red light blinked on her neck. Rilani froze, then stood up fast. What is it? Ethan asked. She turned to him. We have a problem, a very big problem. She pulled up the scanner, now recharged with stolen city power. A hologram flickered to life, a dark ship entering Earth's orbit. It was not human, it was hunting, and somehow it was looking for her. The tracker in her spine. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the sky above Ethan's neighborhood turned black. Not dark, not cloudy, unnaturally black, like something massive had parked between the stars and the world. Ethan stood barefoot on the balcony, staring. Upward, his heart pounding. He wasn't the only one. All across the city, people looked up in confusion. Lights flickered. Air traffic froze mid-route. The system screens across the buildings blinked red and showed 3 words. Unregistered. Object detected. Inside the apartment, Rilani stood like a statue, her eyes fixed on the sky. It found me, she whispered. Ethan rushed in. That ship? What is it? She didn't answer right away. She walked toward the couch, bent down, and opened a hidden seam on the back of her neck. Ethan saw it. A small, glowing blue square pulsing like a heartbeat. What is that? She looked at him with strange calm. A royal tracker embedded deep. Not even I knew it was still active. Ethan's stomach dropped. So that ship, it's here for you. Rilani nodded. And now you too. They went to the old scanner device, the one Ethan had pulled from the closet. It was military surplus from before Earth joined the Galactic Union. Outdated, illegal, but still useful. Lie down, Ethan said. Rilani raised an eyebrow. You want to scan me again? Relax, he said. I'm not checking your measurements. I'm checking your spine. She hesitated, then obeyed. He placed the scanner on her back. It hummed, then blinked red. Found it, Ethan whispered. The tracker's buried deep, almost fused into your bone. Remove it, Rilani said quickly. Now. I can't. It's wired into your neural system. If I cut it the wrong way, then I'll die, she finished. A sudden knock hit the apartment door. 3 slow, heavy bangs. Not normal. Not police. Ethan grabbed a wrench. Don't move. He crept toward the door. Another knock, this time followed by an electric hiss, like something was melting the lock. Ethan backed. Away. They're not knocking anymore. Rilani stood up calmly. Get back. She stepped toward the door, lifted her arm, and a soft click echoed. A glowing light wrapped around her hand. Her skin shimmered, and for the first time, part of her, armor formed. Not clothes, but a shield of hard light energy. Ethan stepped back. You're armed? Rilani didn't blink. They made me forget, but now, I remember. The door burst open, but there was no explosion. Instead, a floating orb the size of a football entered, silent, black, and glowing red. It scanned the room in an instant and locked onto Rilani. Identified, subject R9. Return immediately. Rilani's voice was steel. No. The orb pulsed red again. Non-compliance detected, commencing force protocol. It fired a blinding light, a stasis beam. Rilani moved fast, too fast for the human eye. She grabbed Ethan and rolled them. Behind the couch, the beam scorched the floor where they had just stood. Ethan shouted, That thing is going to burn the whole place down. Rilani's voice was calm. No, it's not here to destroy. It's here to extract. Extract who? Me and you. Ethan's jaw clenched. Why me? You've seen too much, she said. And worse, you didn't turn me in. They needed a plan. Fast. Rilani ran to the kitchen and opened a drawer. She pulled out a knife, not to use, but to reflect the orb's next beam just long enough to buy them time. Follow me, she ordered. Ethan didn't argue. They ran down the hallway into the emergency stairwell. The orb chased behind, blasting through doors like paper. As they fled down the stairs, Rilani tapped a panel on her wrist. "Encrypting my signal," she muttered. "It'll buy us 3 minutes." Ethan huffed as he ran. "You couldn't have told me any of this before we were getting hunted." "I didn't trust you," she said. "I still don't, but I have no choice." They reached the underground parking bay. Most cars were locked, but Ethan still had access to his uncle's old delivery bike. It wasn't fast, but it worked. They jumped on, and the bike shot out of the basement just as the orb melted its way through the wall behind them. As they sped into the neon-lit night, Rilani looked at Ethan. "If we don't remove the tracker, they'll follow us forever." "Then let's rip it out." She shook her head. "It's not that simple." He looked at her. "Then what's the plan?" Rilani turned to the stars. "We go dark, off-grid. There's someone I need to find, someone who knows the old ways." "Who?" She looked at him seriously. "My real commander. If he's alive, he can erase the bond and free me." Run protocol. Mating denied. The city was burning with silence, not fire, not smoke, but silence. The kind that follows a system-wide blackout. No traffic, no lights, no news feed. The entire grid had gone dark the moment Ethan and Rilani vanished off the public signal map. Only a few backup lights flickered on as they parked the old delivery bike inside an abandoned garage on the city's edge. Ethan killed the engine and looked around. "Where are we?" he asked. Rilani stepped off the bike and scanned the area. "Underground outpost, human side, off books, no tracking here." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "How do you know this place?" "I memorized every escape path when I was assigned to Earth," she said. "Before they changed my mind." He paused. "You mean before they wiped your memory?" She gave a slow nod. "Not all of it. Some pieces fought back." Inside the outpost, the walls were covered in old Earth war posters, dusty crates and power cables still faintly humming. A faded sign on the wall read, "In case of protocol failure, go dark." Ethan followed Rilani down a corridor that led to a medical room. "I can try again," he said. "To remove the tracker." "You'll kill me," she replied. "Not if..." "I'm careful." She turned to face him. "The tracker isn't the only thing that links me now." Ethan frowned. "What else is there?" She hesitated, then tapped her wristband. A hologram lit up. "Bond protocol. Pending. Status. Denied by subject. Compatibility. 98.4%. "What is that?" Rilani's voice was tight. "It's a mating protocol, not sexual. It's biological, meant for survival bonding." Ethan blinked. "Wait, are you saying you almost bonded with me?" "I refused," she said quickly. "You touched my wrist during that scan. You didn't know it, but you triggered it. My body began to react." His mouth went dry. "React? How?" She stepped back, arms crossed. "Enhanced senses, accelerated healing, emotional sync, but I denied it." "Why?" She looked away. "Because I'm not ready. And because you're still human." There was a long silence between them. Then, a loud alarm rang through the outpost. It wasn't an external alarm, it was internal. Ethan turned sharply. "What is that?" Rilani's eyes widened. "Someone activated a secondary tracking ping. They're triangulating." She rushed toward the console and smashed the emergency lockdown switch. The room's walls shifted, revealing hardened blast doors. Ethan stared. "You just trapped us in here." "No," she said. "I bought us 10 minutes." She turned toward him. "I have to ask something dangerous," she said. Ethan laughed dryly. "More dangerous than what we've already done?" "I need you to complete the bond." His face turned pale. "You just said you refused it." "I did," she admitted. "But without it, I can't deactivate the tracker. It's fused to my body because it believes I am still a compliant companion. A bonded one can override it." Ethan stepped back. "You're asking me to permanently connect our bodies?" "Yes." "No way. That's insane." "It's survival," she said flatly. "Not romance." He looked at her, breathing heavily. And what happens to me if I do it? You'll see parts of me no human has seen, she said. My memories, my thoughts, my pain. Ethan swallowed. And you'll see mine, she nodded. If you're hiding something, I'll know. He stared at her, then gave a small smile. Lucky for you, I'm boring. Rilani took a slow step forward and extended her hand. One touch, one command. Say bond accepted, and the process starts. Ethan stared at her hand, at the strange glowing lines on her skin, at her eyes that were both cold and somehow sad. And then, he reached out, but before he could speak, a voice boomed through the speaker system. This is Galactic Enforcement. Subject R9, surrender immediately. Human male. Step away. Rilani didn't move. Ethan looked at her. Time's up. Her eyes locked on his. Then say it before they take it away from us. He took a deep breath and whispered, Bond accepted. His touch activated. Her hidden form, the moment. Ethan said the words, Bond accepted. The air inside the bunker shifted, literally. A faint tremble moved through the walls, and the very temperature changed, like the room had inhaled. Rilani's body froze. Her glowing eyes widened, not in fear but in something older, ancient, as if a part of her that had been locked away had suddenly awakened. The lines on her skin, once faint and dull, now lit up like molten circuits. Ethan stepped back. What's happening? I didn't expect it to be so fast, she whispered. Her voice was deeper now, almost echoing. Her body trembled, then straightened. Then it began. Pieces of invisible armor, hidden under her skin, began to rise layer by layer, glowing panels forming over her arms, shoulders, chest. Her delicate outfit melted away and was replaced by something far more terrifying. A royal war suit, but modified, sleeker, built not for show, but survival. The long silver hair floated upward as if the gravity around her had lightened. Her eyes turned brighter, no longer green but gold with an inner fire. Ethan couldn't speak. He was staring at a goddess forged in war. Rilani looked at her own hands, fingers spreading wide, golden circuits dancing across her palms. The armor was buried, she said softly. Dormant, waiting for the bond code. Ethan whispered, So, this is your true form? No, she said. This is my prepared form. He swallowed. Prepared for what? She looked toward the sealed blast doors. For war. The wall-mounted screen buzzed. Surrender, this is your final warning. Rilani tapped her temple. The golden light faded from her armor's edges, just enough for movement. We can't win this fight head-on, she said. We run, we strike, we vanish. Ethan frowned. Run where? We're trapped. She smiled for the first time. Not warmly, but like a predator. Then we break the trap, she extended her hand. Grab my arm. Ethan hesitated. Why? I'm about to punch a hole in this wall. You don't want to fly without support. Okay then. Boom. Her armored fist slammed into the concrete-reinforced wall. Not once. Twice. On the third hit, the wall cracked open like a shell. Wind screamed in. The city lights shimmered far below. They were 5 stories underground, but the emergency shaft on the other side had collapsed long ago. Rilani had just made them a new exit. Ethan held on tight. Don't let go, she warned. Then, she jumped. They landed hard on the rooftop of an old transport center. Ethan groaned, coughing from the impact. You said hold on, not nearly break my spine. She didn't answer. She was scanning the sky. Then she saw it. A black, winged drone hovering nearby. Silent, cloaked, tracking. It flashed a blue light. Bond. Confirmed. Target status permanent. Elimination order cancelled. Extraction in progress. Ethan stared. Wait, did it just say elimination? Rilani's voice was cold. Before the bond, I was considered property. Defective property is erased. But now that I've bonded, I'm classified as active royalty. Ethan blinked. You're royalty? She nodded. I was. I might be again. But now that drone's going to call the ship down. She turned to him. Unless we destroy. Ethan grabbed a loose metal pipe and said, I distract, you destroy? She smirked. Getting brave, human. He ran into the open, shouting and waving the pipe. Hey, Tin Bucket, look at me! The drone scanned him but didn't fire. It was too focused on Rilani. She leapt from behind the pillar, like lightning slicing through the drone with a glowing blade that had formed from her forearm. The drone fell, sparks flying. It exploded mid-air. Silence returned. Ethan was catching his breath. Well, that was fun. She stood beside him. We have 5 minutes before the next wave finds us. He looked at her, still panting. What now? Rilani turned toward the stars again. Her voice dropped low. I have to find the last person who knew who I really was. If he's alive, he'll help me remove the rest of my conditioning. And the bond, if you want it gone. Ethan looked at her carefully. Do you want it gone? Rilani hesitated. I don't know, she said. You weren't supposed to matter. Ethan chuckled. I get that a lot. The fake bond becomes real. They found shelter inside a broken-down cargo hauler near the spaceport ruins. The ship had no power. Just old crates, dust, and silence. Perfect for hiding. Ethan and Rilani sat opposite each other on the cold floor, both breathing heavy, not from running but from what had just happened. The bond had changed everything. Ethan looked down at his hands. I still feel weird, like you're inside my head, not talking, just watching. I am, Rilani said. Not by choice. The bond isn't just physical. It connects thoughts, instincts, feelings. He glanced at her. So, you can feel what I feel? To a degree. Ethan paused. And what do you feel right now? She looked at him, eyes glowing faintly. You're scared. He shrugged. Well, yeah. Running from drones, breaking walls, bonding with a royal alien. It's not my usual Tuesday. Then, unexpectedly, she added, You're also curious. About me. He looked away. That's not fair. You're reading me like a book. I'm not reading, I'm just sensing. The bond makes it happen. Ethan nodded slowly, then turned serious. But you said we had to fake the bond at first to confuse the tracker. So tell me now, what part was fake? Rilani didn't answer right away. Her voice came soft, almost unsure. The intention, not the connection. What does that mean? Never meant for it to matter, she said. But now, I feel things I was trained to reject. Human things. A silence grew between them, deeper than before. Outside the hauler, soft rain began to fall on the metal roof. Each drop echoed through the hull like a heartbeat. I was raised to protect a queen, Rilani said, breaking the quiet. To fight, to kill, to obey orders. But when my ship was ambushed and I was captured, they erased my rank. They dressed me as comfort, as property. She clenched her fists. And when they told me to undress in front of a human stranger, I wanted to tear the world apart. Ethan watched her carefully. But you didn't. No, she said. Because you didn't ask me to. Ethan said nothing. He just looked down. Then she added, That changed everything. Suddenly, a loud metallic thunk echoed through the ship. Both of them jumped to their feet. Someone's here, Ethan whispered. Rilani grabbed a crate lid and scanned through. Its reflection, a shadow moved past the ship's outer wall. 2 shadows. 3. They found us. Ethan grabbed a metal rod ready to fight, but Rilani touched his arm. No, let me. He whispered. You sure? She nodded. This time I'm not running. Outside, 3 armed figures in black armor moved through the wreckage. They weren't drones. They were enforcers, sent to reclaim lost or rogue assets. One of them carried a scanner. Tracker pinged. She's here. So is the bonded human. Another one spoke. Orders? Retrieve the girl. Erase the male. That's when Rilani stepped out of the ship, her body glowing again with golden light. You want me? She called. Then come and earn it. The enforcers raised their weapons. Too slow. Rilani sprinted forward, blade formed from her forearm. She moved like a storm, cutting through one, dodging the second, and pinning the third to the ground. Ethan stepped out behind her, panting. You're insane. You know that? She grinned. You're the one who bonded with me. The last enforcer on the ground coughed. You're not supposed to feel? Rilani looked down at him coldly. I wasn't supposed to survive either. She knocked him out. Later they sat inside the hauler again, breathing in the heavy silence. Ethan finally asked, So, what now? Rilani didn't answer right away. Her voice came low. The bond's growing stronger. I can feel it moving through my veins. Ethan tried to joke. Am I at least a decent match? She looked up at him, and for once, her voice had no defense. Yes, she said. Too decent. Then she added something that surprised even herself. I don't want to break the bond anymore. Ethan blinked. Wait, really? Rilani nodded slowly. It started fake. But somewhere between your stubborn kindness and my shattered training, it became something else. Ethan smiled. Something real? She gave the smallest nod. Yes, one human changed the system. The sun rose slowly over a city that had no idea it was on the edge of something historic. Ethan stood with Rilani atop the ruins of an old comms tower, just outside the restricted zone. Her armor shimmered in the soft orange light. His jacket was torn, his hands were dirty, but neither of them looked away from the task ahead. Today wasn't just survival. It was resistance. And maybe something more. A stolen military beacon stood between them, reprogrammed by Rilani. Its signal would go live in 60 seconds. When it did, every screen, every satellite, and every Union-controlled media feed would broadcast one thing: the truth. I need you to be the one who speaks, Rilani said. Ethan blinked. Me? Why? You're human. If I speak, they'll say it's just alien madness. But if you do it, if you tell them what they've done, maybe they'll finally see. He hesitated. And what if they shut it down? Rilani looked into his eyes. Then at least we die honest. Ethan sighed, then nodded. Okay. She reached for his hand, not out of weakness, but solidarity. The bond pulsed between them, soft now, warm, like a heartbeat shared by two people who had fought to remain themselves. The timer hit 0 and Ethan spoke. The message played across the world, to cities, to ships, to colonies, to those who received a companion and those who still waited. Ethan's voice rang out raw and clear. My name is Ethan Gray. I was assigned a stress relief alien girl like every other citizen. But mine did something no one expected. She said no. She wasn't broken. She wasn't defective. She was real. And so are all the others you've silenced, erased, and turned into tools. You didn't give us peace. You gave us prisoners dressed as comfort. I didn't fall in love with a program. I bonded with a person, and now we're not running anymore. The screen faded, and then the world exploded, not in fire, but in sound. The Galactic Council issued immediate silence orders, but it was too late. The message had been downloaded, copied, shared across back channels. Some humans were confused, others were furious. But many looked at their companions for the first time and asked their names. An hour later, the sky turned black again. The same ship returned. But this time, it didn't come to extract. It came to negotiate. A representative appeared on the old tower's roof, tall, robed, mechanical voice buzzing. You have violated 27 interspecies codes. Rilani stepped forward. And you violated thousands of living minds. The alien voice buzzed. You are no longer classified as property. The bond makes you a sovereign. Ethan stepped beside her. Then treat her like one. A long silence. Then, request logged, human influencer noted. The ship vanished without firing a single shot. Weeks passed. The companion program was frozen. Investigations began. Some models, once silent, started to speak again. Others, like Rilani, began to remember who they were before the labs, before the collars, before the orders. Ethan and Rilani didn't go back to city life. They didn't have to. They had something better now, a place in the hills. Off-grid. Safe. One morning, Ethan was chopping firewood when Rilani approached, her armor fully off, by her choice, not command. She wore a simple tunic, hair tied back. She looked less like a soldier and more like herself. Still not bored of me? Ethan teased. She smirked. Not yet, then added more quietly, Do you regret it? Regret what? He asked, bonding with someone who was trained to obey, but chose to fight. Ethan set the axe down and walked over to her. I didn't bond with who you were trained to be, he said. I bonded with the one who refused. Rilani blinked. Then, for the first time, she leaned in slowly and rested her forehead against his. Softly, gently, no commands, no fear, just choice. Some say the system changed that day. Others say one stubborn human just got lucky. But Rilani knew better, because when she looked into Ethan's eyes, she saw something not even the labs could program. Respect. And that was more powerful than any bond.